Hi, everyone. You are listening to another episode of Ride or Die from Teens to Prosecco Queens with me, your host and forever dreamer, Teresa. So this is the spot for the badass queens and the kings who support us to learn, grow, heighten, and enlighten. Today, I have such an amazing privilege and pleasure to have sitting with me a queen that I have known my entire life. She is one of my primas, for all you non-Spanish folks. She is one of my cousins that we have been together our entire lives. However, we have not seen each other for about 27 years, and we have lived 40 minutes apart since then. So it is my pleasure to introduce my cousin, my friend, Teresa. And yes, you all heard that right.
That is correct. That is correct. Teresa number 2.
Literally, she's like 2 months younger than me.
Number 2. Absolutely. I'll take number 2. It's no problem. It's no problem.
So, Teresa, Teresa, since we obviously have the same name, what would you like me to specifically call you during this time?
I prefer Teresa, or for short, that is fine. That is fine.
So, Teresa,
Yes.
why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Teresa Margarita Cruz. I'm from the Bronx, and I was thinking about like how I was gonna describe myself, because as a female, I'm just so many things. So I'm just gonna go with I'm a mother, I'm a partner, and I am a Puerto Rican witch.
And that is my favorite part. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
And I'm so excited about this topic.
Excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I am blessed that you came out to see us. Like I said, it's been way too damn long.
Yes.
How many times we've crossed each other's paths? Probably in the past 27 years, and literally have not seen each other is insanity to me.
I think we bumped into each other a few times. I feel like because we're talking about spaces we've
Yes.
been at, and
Yes.
I think that we just literally crossed each other, like a cab crossing.
Probably.
Or people crossing. Because I know if I would have seen you.
Yeah. Hopefully
I
we didn't date any of the same guys.
Right. I think I would have. We have to pass the bathroom.
At least.
I really think so.
At
Gone
least.
to the same bar.
At least.
But, this is when it's meant to be. So
That's
this
right.
is what it is.
And I love the fact that you're here to speak about something that is not only your specialty, but is something that is close to my heart as well, because it's what we were raised with.
Yes.
And you have taken it to a whole nother level, and it is intriguing and exciting. And since our listeners know the crap that I've been dealing with, you
Right.
have helped be a beacon for me.
Oh, thank
To
you.
help me cleanse my energy and to feel like there are things that I can do to really turn my situation around that's beyond just the physical. We're talking the metaphysical, and I
Right.
love that shit. Like, it excites me. It's not scary for anybody who's scared. We're not talking about crazy black magic, crazy stuff, but we are talking about spirituality today.
Yes.
We are talking of energies and cleansings, and please, you continue, because you obviously can speak on it so much more about what we're talking about today.
This was really important to me. Like when you sent the questions to me and I was prepping, I really wanted to take the time out to just really think about what I wanted to say, how I wanted to express myself, my authenticity, and also not wanting to offend anybody, honestly.
Makes sense.
In between being as authentic, unapologetically authentic.
Unapologetically, that's
But
important as hell.
unoffensive, because I can only speak on behalf of my life and
right.
my experience. So I just will say a few times when we touch touchy topics, which will probably be everything.
Everything, yes.
That I'm not here to offend. I'm just here to speak my truth and my experience. And I will try my very best to be as non-biased as possible while explaining my life and, the goods and the bads at the same time. Because I just didn't want to do that. Spirituality, religion, it's a touchy topic.
Yes, it is.
It's a very touchy topic.
Since the beginning of time.
And I just feel like there's layers to it. There's so much layers to this, because we as human beings are full of layers, and it is not black and white.
That's right.
So because us as humans are different and have different experiences, the way we view religion and spirituality is different.
Yes.
For everybody.
Amen.
So when I was thinking about these questions, it was hard, because in my journey right now, I'm trying to be as labelless as possible.
Interesting.
Yet I need to answer these questions that are filled with labels.
Yes.
People want the labels to
do.
be answered. And
Yes.
I am trying to free myself of that. I'm just like a labelless girl in a labelful world.
That's really
I'm
cute.
trying, but that's how people understand. That's how the collective understands.
Yes.
They need something to grab.
They need something
if
to
they
grab.
Don't grab it, if they can't
Yes.
grab it, Lord.
If they if they can grab it or grasp it,
Right.
it is foreign to them.
Right. So,
Yes.
In wanting to connect, I realize I have to go back a little bit to this labels and what the people want, what consciousness wants. I mean, what the collective wants. Religion versus spirituality, the difference between the two.
Yeah, what is the difference between the two? Yeah.
Let's get into it. For me and my experience, my life, that's the only person that I can speak on behalf of. Religion is structured. There's rules.
Yep.
Commandments, things like that.
Yes.
Christians have the commandments, etc.
Not to mention all that the false morality that
morality. I'm gonna say, for me and my experience, I'm just gonna say a morality.
Yes.
Right. I'm when I'm explaining the differences, and then you'll see the negative within my experience. But if I'm gonna tell somebody or explain to somebody the difference, I'm going to try to do it as you know what I mean?
Yes.
So religion there's rules to it.
Right.
If you want to be in a certain religion, you must abide by those rules. It's also usually accompanied by deities, a divine.
That's right. Yes.
And prophets that experienced the divine, and us following those prophets,
right,
and their experience.
And just to piggyback off that, yes, just for anyone that again is not aware necessarily what we're talking about, well, you can take Christianity. We're talking about Papa Dios, Jesus, God, what those kind of things. We're talking prophets like David, John, those are all prophets.
Or even
Moses,
in Christianity, in for the Muslims, it's Muhammad.
It's Muhammad. Yep.
So it's every
sector.
Right,
yes, every village, every sector.
Most of them have a deity, a belief in a divine, and a belief in a prophet that was given communication with the divine on how to behave and how to live on this earth.
Exactly.
Spirituality, the difference between religion and spirituality is, with spirituality, you're on your own journey for those answers. You don't abide by any rules, commandments. You are the prophet of your journey, of your Bible. You are the prophet of your Bible.
I love that.
Right.
I've never heard of it said like that. I've never heard of it like that before.
This, and how I'm a very animated visual person, and I felt like those were the images that I got in my mind, so I wanted to really share it in that way.
That's amazing.
That's how they're different. They are also the same.
Okay.
They're in the same that in spirituality you're inward, where religious you're outward, right? But we're both trying to find connection.
Yeah.
That is what makes it the same.
And be grounded.
Right. So you would do a diagram, like a circle, two circles, and then like in school, and then in the middle it would be the need for connection.
Wow.
Whereas spirituality is an individual journey and religion is a journey outward.
And it's like a community.
Correct.
Yes.
People, and I'm always going to go back to that, we're multi-layered individuals.
Right.
So we can be people that are both spiritual and religious. I consider myself to be spiritual and religious.
I am too. Yep.
I'm on a journey towards myself.
Yes.
Who am I and what's my purpose? And I have God by my side. I don't play.
Oh, amen.
I don't play.
Girl, you see, he look over me. He look over me every day.
Play with my God. I don't play.
No.
But I also have rituals and traditions. Everybody is different, and their level of spiritual. Some might be completely spiritual and not believe in a single deity at all. Right. Some might be religious and not want to even touch the idea of looking inward.
Yes.
Some are in the middle. We're all different people, and our combinations are all different.
So let me ask you then, based on that, talking about looking inward. And actually, you said something that made me think about this. So there are people that are out there that are religious, but don't look inward.
Right.
And why do you think that is? And the reason I asked this is because I was thinking about people who fight their own demons.
Yeah.
Right? We could be on our hands and knees every Sunday in church, in your living room, wherever you pray, on your porch, what sun you may face, and everything else, depending upon what your religion is. But if you're fighting your own personal demons and you don't use that grounding, whatever your grounding force is, whether it's spirituality, what what is there an impact to that, do you think?
Well, faith is another thing that combines spirituality and religion. It's
Okay,
faith.
good.
Whether you have faith in yourself or you have faith in God. Me personally, I have I have very strong faith, and we'll get into like why it is. But my faith is very strong. I have like these ideas that I would die for, and that is my God and myself. And it's because I believe that I am a piece of God.
Amen. We all are.
Right.
That's
some
right.
people don't.
Some people don't believe that.
Right.
Of course.
There's
of course.
levels to it.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
levels to it. I can be in the middle of two Christians, and one will agree with me and one will not, which is why you can't judge people solely based on what religion they say they do.
Amen.
Brujeria is included in that kind of do not judge.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes, exactly.
So one of the questions that you had asked me was, what is brujeria? What does that mean?
Right.
I was there for a long time.
I could imagine, because I had to think about it myself.
I was there so long. What does that mean?
Yes.
And at the same time, this is my experience, what I go through, what I've seen, what I've felt, not trying to offend anybody. I'm just speaking my truth.
And if you offend them, they'll live.
They'll be all right.
They'll be all right.
They'll be fine. God is with them.
That's right. Whether they like it or
right.
not.
It's all right. Brujeria is Spanish for witchcraft.
Yes.
What is witchcraft? What is that? I believe.
Yes.
I believe. My experiences.
I believe too.
Right.
I believe too. And real quick, I'll jump in there. And the way we were raised, and again,
it's a hell no.
It was one of those things that, like, my mother used to tell me all the time when we were younger. She was like, "Listen, we used to, the old school the salsa song, Bruja."
Oh yeah, that'll be my wedding song.
Please, that's what I'm saying. I can see that. I can see that.
That's my wedding. I know that's gonna be my wedding song.
And that makes sense.
Right.
Because we used to play that for my mother.
Right.
To this day, that's like we say that's my mom's song. Why? Because we used to tell her all the time, like, God, you're such a witch. She could see things, she could hear things, she can have premonitions. She knew stuff before and she didn't know how. Yeah. She'd be like, oh, look, the hair on my arms is standing up. But she would have a feeling and it was like, whoa, like crazy, right? And we had that on top of the strict Catholic religion that we were raised in.
That's great.
Like the strict Catholic, Catholic school we were in, Catholic church every Sunday. As I got older, I still had my faith.
Right.
But I shifted more away from the Catholic Church and more to spirituality.
Got it.
And to what my own assessment of what my spirituality was and what I was willing to do with it, and how I was able to take in a lot of the information as well. Right? Like a lot of that spirituality is actually just sitting and quiet and listening.
Right.
Along with doing the things that you're going to talk about as well, any of the rituals and things like that. So so much of my faith, as you were saying, comes from that basis and that grounding and that spirituality and that religion. Like I said, I am the same way. I'm all about God. I'm all about Jesus. I get on my hands and knees and I pray every day. And there's been many times I've prayed and I've cried and I've screamed at God and I've said the why me's and I said I hate you to God. There's been many times I'm angry at you, and I know He's got me regardless.
It's a relationship. It's a relationship.
And it's the one that I know is not going to fail me.
Right.
Right. It's the one that I know for me. And that's not for everybody. That's what we talk about. That's not for everybody. Right. So I think it's when you were talking about your faith, where does your faith, like, where does it reside? Does it reside most in the spirituality or in religion, or is it a combination of both? And where does brujeria fit into that?
Just taking the time to think, because I know we need labels and things like that, because I don't like to use them. I have a strong foundation of faith from my upbringing. So even though my parents were split, they were very serious and strong in their separate religions.
Okay, great.
So my dad is a strong Christian, a very strong faith Christian man. So when I would stay over every other weekend, you know what I mean? I was in church every Sunday. I was in church every Sunday, and even though it's every 2 weeks, you would think that that's not enough. Because this was for years, right? My parents have been split since I was 2, so this is a very long time of church and the like.
Yes,
I still had a strong foundation there. I was in choir. I was in Christian Christmas shows. I was in Bible school, summer Bible school, girl. I was in summer Bible school. I did.
Oof, yuck.
I was
like,
in teen night, kids night, children's church, honey, you name it. Oof. And I was in it.
I was like, Catholic school and church on Sunday was enough for me, girl.
And no, Christian church is 3 hours.
Ooh, yes.
It's not 45.
It's not 45. Yes.
It's a very
It's community based.
It's community based.
Yes.
And it's about a deep relationship with God. You know, Christianity.
So you didn't go to Our Lady of Solace in the church itself?
No. I went to that church like to donate clothes and to go
Right.
on Sundays every now and then, but I was mostly a part of St. Dominic's.
St. Dominic's.
That's where I was from.
Okay,
That's
right around the corner.
Right, but I had the same.
So for everybody who's wondering, we went to the same elementary school together up until I went to Our Lady of Solace in the Bronx. I mean, we grew up to this day. Teresa still lives in the same area that we grew up in the Bronx.
Pelham
Parkway, White Plains Road, baby, right up in there. So literally still living in the hood over there and coming up over there, which is why I was asking if what the church was, because they closed down St. Dominic's.
Yeah, St. Dominic's
has been closed for a while.
For a little while.
Yeah.
So my dad is a heavy Christian and my mom was a heavy Catholic. Not really her, my grandma. Her mother is a heavy Catholic. So I grew up being heavy in the church every Sunday, a part of the Spanish Catholic community, meaning I did rosary in Spanish on Wednesdays, on Saturdays, you name it, wherever my grandma was, she dragged my ass there too. And I was doing it in Spanish. And she trained me to be
I've done it a few times, a Spanish girl. Oh man.
I would go regularly to Spanish. I would go with her to people's houses when they were doing, as Catholics, heavy praying.
Yeah.
And people were dropping to the floor and shit. I was in the kids' room. Now I know. Now I think about that, and I was like, "My God, that was so dangerous." All that negative. They're
now
like,
knowing what you know.
They're taking. There was like exorcisms going on in these viejas' house, like these ride or die women. This is what I was surrounded. From one extreme in terms of Christianity to being a Catholic. So I grew up from that and wanting to get my baptism and being confirmed. I was so excited. I wanted to get it. I picked my saint. Ooh, I was happy about that.
Who was yours?
My saint is Saint Bernadette.
Okay.
She is a spunky 14-year-old, and I was around that age when I got confirmed to pick my
to pick your yes.
You did research on saints, you looked them up, and I liked her story. She was a spunky 14-year-old that got a message from God to help those in need and to create a church where in the same spot by the grotto where she got these visions. But she did all of this at a very young age. She was very spunky.
She was spunky.
Religiously spunky with God by her side. And I thought that was cool. And that's who I wanted to be.
And you completely fall right into that category altogether.
Right in there.
Yes.
So both of those, even though they're different faiths, both of those were instilled in me very strongly. So I was raised with a tremendous amount of faith in God now, which helps me now in my spirituality. Now, because religion has rules.
Yes.
It can be restrictive.
Yes.
And cause separation.
I was just you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say, and can cause separation.
So because as I got older, I wanted to spend more time with my grandmother because you needed to take special classes for confirmation. So I would not want to go to my dad's house that every other Sunday when it was his Sunday because I wanted to go to class.
Yeah, and since we were in Catholic school, it was part of our curriculum.
And then you had to go to church.
Yes.
And you had to get the bulletin as proof of going to the church.
Wow, okay.
For the confirmation, you needed like 40 of those shits.
Yes, you did. So we spent our entire 7th grade year prepping for that shit.
You needed all those papers.
Yes.
You couldn't forge them because it was the date and it was changed every week based on like the little commercials they had in the back from small businesses.
Yes.
So as I started leaning towards one side, it created a divide between me and my dad because I wanted to be more Catholic. And the difference between there's a difference between Christianity and Catholicism. They have the same and they're different in certain ways. Christianity believes in the three: God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. Right. There is nothing but the three. Anything past the three is against the law.
That makes sense because it's all about Christ. Christianity is Christ.
Right.
Yes.
To be a Catholic is the same rules as Christianity. All of the things, the Bible, the prophet, the three. But they also show respect to saints.
Okay, yes, you're right.
and Mother Mary,
Yes, yes.
the divine female.
Yes.
And that is against Christian law.
Interesting.
So my dad
I didn't know it in that much detail.
Yes. People say, oh, Christians and Catholics the same. No,
they're not. No, they're not. That much
Those
definitely
are
not.
fundamentals that Catholics believe. Catholics will die to the idea that of their saints as well as the three.
Yes.
And Christians believe, and they'll die to the idea that there is nothing but the three.
Wow.
But they share the same book.
Right. That's right.
So that's how religion, the difference between the two in religion and spirituality is the rules, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
So my dad would not really be a fan of the fact that I stopped going to a Christian church. He was not a fan of the fact that he had to come see me at my baptism and my communion and my confirmation, because to him I was in a space of sacrilege.
Yeah, I could see that.
Hellfire, girl.
Yeah. Oh, hellfire.
You know, and I wouldn't say that he would tell me all the time, you know, but he would tell me sometimes, especially when I got initiated into those three. He would say, I'm going to pray for you because
my goodness,
I don't agree with this. But he still supported me.
And that's important.
He went.
That's important.
But it doesn't mean that didn't have a sting.
Yeah. Because nobody needs those backhanded comments. Right. It's like, okay, support me support me quietly then.
But at the same time too, he was doing the best that he could.
Yeah.
And that's why when faith is strong in somebody, it's strong in somebody. Like, he supported me as a father by showing up to these spaces, and I love him dearly. But as a Christian, he was not with the shits. And that's what, and I respect that now. I respect it. Even though it caused shame and guilt and all these things. But I respect it. Because that's what people believe, you know? That's his faith. He'll die for that faith.
Yeah.
That he's very strong with that. And that's been instilled in me from both ends. From my grandmother doing exorcists with her Hail Mary with the girls on the floor, to my father. My father was very high in his church, men's fellowships and things. He was very high up there too. So,
I didn't even know that about your dad.
Yeah, he was he's always running men's groups, leading men's things through the Christian church.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
At all.
It's not my stepdad. That's my real dad.
Your real dad.
You just yeah. I don't know if you even knew who he, because my parents haven't been together for so long.
You know what? You might be right.
I'm thinking you're my stepdad. Yeah, my parent. I don't even remember them together. So they split when I was 2. So you remember me with my stepdad, my mom and my stepdad.
You might be
right. He
raised
me since I was 2. Yeah.
Then you might be right.
So
yeah, because I'm like, I don't remember.
Right? Like him in church?
I was like,
he
what?
was in the club. You're not wrong.
No, I was like, he be drinking with my father.
Right. Who, that guy? No, girl, not that one. So, there is, religion and spirituality. There's things that bring them together, but there are things that bring them very much apart. But people are people are different. You can be. I consider myself a spiritual, religious person because I do things. I tap into things. I do. I guess we'll get right into like brujeria. What is brujeria?
Let's
bring it on back in.
Bring it on back into brujeria. Because what exactly? In this space, what exactly, how does it fit into this space? And what is it, of course? Right.
Brujeria, deep breath. Brujeria is witchcraft in Spanish, right? What is witchcraft, right? For me and my experience, witchcraft is the moving of energy, the manipulation of reality for yourself or for somebody else.
That's deep.
Magic is that movement.
Okay, so magic is real in that sense.
Magic is the movement of that energy.
Okay.
So witchcraft is a craft.
It's something you have to develop
on your own, based on your spirituality, based on your religion, based on your life experience. The craft is different for everybody. Like an artist, the way they draw, how they draw, the things they draw.
It's a talent too. It's a talent to hone.
Right. It's a talent. Okay. It's something that you have to practice. It also depends on the person and how they see the world. It's the same as an artist. It's a craft. It's what you do. You're a carpenter. Yes. It's a craft. It's what you do. It's what you choose to put it into. And it depends on the
energy you put into it.
Absolutely.
And also the energy you get out of it.
Right. So there's levels to this.
Okay.
The notion that just the word witchcraft automatically means negative, I don't align with that. I don't reside with that. I also don't put a lot of energy in trying to prove that. I rather put my energy into healing and helping others, not needing to validate anything in any way. You know, like
Yeah, of course.
I'll always defend it, but I don't really put too much because people are gonna think what they want to think.
Regardless.
They're gonna open their mind the way they want to, and that's it. I'm not going back and forth.
And when you're raised to hear things and believe certain things, and with pop culture, you hear certain things and you're not getting the whole story.
Right.
So you hear somebody say witchcraft, you're thinking all of a sudden, what was that movie with those four girls or whatever from the 90s?
I mean, it can be that though.
That would be more fun. When we were younger, we used to try this stuff, you know.
It can be that.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board, right?
Yes, but it can also, there's levels to it, you know, and it depends on who you are and what you're about. It depends on what your goal is, to heal or to harm. It depends on the energies that you're calling to help you heal or to harm.
Okay.
It's levels, just like a religion. I don't give anybody a pass in getting to know who they are because they say, oh, I'm a Christian. You don't get a pass from me because you throw a religious card down. I have to get to know who you are,
right,
and that'll let me know how you view the world and how you view your faith. That doesn't mean that you wouldn't throw a bomb in an abortion building and kill women and children inside.
Exactly.
And professionals. It doesn't mean that.
Yep.
Just like brujeria doesn't mean that I'm automatically going to harm you. It just means I make shit happen.
And it says, and jumping on that, making shit happen, does this have, and we've discussed this on the podcast before, so it's a good question to ask, how does manifestation, because the way you just said make things happen, does that and manifestation techniques, do they fall in the same categories?
Yes, everything is magic. The words that come out of your mouth is magic. The way you breathe is magic. The way you hug somebody is magic.
And everything is all of that.
Everything is magic. You are magic.
Yes.
This is what I believe and what my,
I believe
based
that too.
on my experience,
yes,
to the community. This is me telling the collective. Yes. You know what I mean? Everything, especially females. We blink, we make magic.
Yo, we are the divine.
I blink and I make magic. I wake up in the morning and magic is happening because I wake up, I light an incense, I'm lighting candles, I'm thanking God, I'm praying for my family and my children. Before my family opens their eyes, they are completely protected.
They're protected. Yeah, I say the same thing.
Because I decided to mop my house with fabuloso inside. You know what I mean?
Damn, like, I wish I had a freaking Florida mop now. Shit.
Or with your Dyson. It's you know what I mean?
Yes.
And your healthy intention. And the sway of your hips, everything has magic, but because of religious oppression, yada, 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 it's thought in such negative ways. But you cannot judge the label. You have to judge the person. Just like any other faith, just like this world, you can't.
And to each his own, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And there's just so many levels to it. I've met so many different people from different faiths that do things in different ways. And you just got to go by who they are.
So tell me then, what and how do you practice? Well, let me start with this question then. Is what you practice brujeria? Is it witchcraft?
Yeah, I call it that. I don't have a problem.
First, to be honest with you, I love that label. I love saying it. I love when someone says, even if they're wrong about what it is,
right.
To me, it feels like power to me.
Right. And it's whatever brings you power and makes you feel strong is what you should do. So there is witches, healers, priestess, shamans, root workers.
Root workers?
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, I do heavy root work, herbs. Creating, working with the dirt, the ground, oils, candles, things of that nature, putting magic inside of things and creating things, wearing things.
I've never even heard that name before.
Bathing in things, soaking in things. Wow. Creating special waters, mopping your house with those things, cleaning your doors with those things. I love those things.
That's amazing.
But there's different, words that go with brujeria. There's different, all those words, all those labels mean making shit happen. I make shit happen. And I personally make shit happen in an island way. I consider myself a Puerto Rican bruja. I am an island bruja, a Caribbean island bruja.
Yes.
That was, as a Puerto Rican, I'm highly affected by the slave trade. Because of that, I come from Spaniard descendants. I come from Indian descendants.
Yes, we do.
I come from African descendants.
Yes, we do.
And one of the most special things about
we are the three.
We are the three. And
Yep.
just what makes one Puerto Rican different from the other is the combination, the percentage.
Yes, the percentage.
That's it.
That's it.
Still the same three.
Yes.
Just different percentage.
Exactly. Which ones makes you lighter or darker, and that's it. Your hair makes your hair from kinky to not. It depends. Percentage.
That's it. But it's still the same concept. And I think what makes islands, being an island witch, a Puerto Rican witch, so special is my ability to have access to the magic of those cultures. So I have access to Spaniard magic through Catholicism. I have access to Indian, Taino Indian spirituality and shamanism. I have access to African spirituality that is different now that it's hit the islands after years and years and years. It's not the same as it originated, but that's where it came from. I have access to that in the form of seven powers and hoodoo and voodoo, etc. I have access to those three, and they are my divine right to use them because they belong and come from me. I'm not here taking other magic from other cultures that do not belong to me.
And we see that a lot.
Yes.
That's
everywhere.
Yes. That
and
is
again, I'm
like
only
everything
speaking
else.
on behalf of my life and my reality. There are other people that do other things from other cultures. Whatever works for you works for you.
But that's something else that's been whitewashed. That's exactly what it is. People take. They They don't learn to understand.
Right.
They just do.
Right. So for me, that's what I don't, to each his own, you know? So I just stick within the three, and my combination is different from the next Puerto Rican's combination.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I am heavy in Catholicism. You know, and right now I'm being introduced to a specific kind of religion called the 21 Divisions that originated in Dominican Republic. I'm leaning a little bit more towards that. I also have, Yemaya is one of my guides, keeps me safe every day. That's from African spirituality. Where the next Puerto Rican next to me might just be into Taino. Everybody's different.
Yes.
Their combinations are different. You know what I mean? To each his own.
With that then, with the different combinations of doing things, what do you specialize in? And how do you bring those three together in your particular unique way?
For me, right now, in my root work, my herb work, and my crafts, I make candles and oils and baths for specific intentions. I mainly do things like cleansing and protection and abundance and love. I do a lot of love.
Yes.
Love, self-love, attracting love. And a new one that I'm doing for my partner, because he does a lot of men's spiritual work, something that's called like, am I worthy? I am worthy.
Yes.
So
that's important.
I like creating things and charming and enchanting things so that people can use these on top of their fate to heal and protect and make shit happen for them in support of them.
So these are supportive aids,
right?
In order to give them that extra hit that they might need,
right?
To strengthen.
Correct. Their magical what they need for themselves. I would consider, and the labels too. Like I thought about this too. What am I? What do I do? How would I describe the things that I do? I have a strong intuition, the ability with a sprinkle and a splash of clairvoyancy, a sprinkle.
And just so you're aware, she's shown me just today a little bit of her little clairvoyancy, and I was a little shocked.
These are the labels that people like to hear. If you were to just ask me, because people, that's the new thing now that's vibrating in my direction. What do you do? And I just stand there like, I am what I am. Like, I do what I do. Spirit moves through me in different ways. So I just sit with somebody and things happen. I'm able to say messages or see things, and as I dive deeper in my spirituality, it becomes much stronger. Like
you're honing that skill.
Yes, but it is also very overwhelming. Being in large spaces is overwhelming.
I couldn't even imagine. That's a lot of messages.
It's a lot of energy.
Yes.
A lot of energy. If people have negative on them, that's very heavy. I become very ill.
Wow.
Faint, want to faint, almost faint.
Like I said, there's a few people that I know you would
You
not want to get in a room with.
You know, so having to engage in certain protective rituals. I wear white. I wrap my head in white. I have to keep my head covered when I do certain things.
Okay.
If I were to sage somebody and take negative energy off of them, I must wrap my head or I will faint, drop to the floor. Has it happened? Yes. Do I test the waters? All day.
All day, right? All the time.
All the time. All day. But that's what I do. Like, my purpose is to help people heal.
Like you've been helping me.
Yes.
Inadvertently. But
right.
Yes, inadvertently. Yes.
The universe, God brings people together at the right time.
At the right times.
All the time.
Yeah.
For reasons. And when you dive into your purpose, whatever your purpose is, these people or these situations, these resources, these opportunities are just going to come and come hard. So you gotta just be ready for the roller coaster ride. And faith is what helps you survive.
So for our listeners, I can even give you a little background because, like I said, myself, Teresa, who's also Teresa, and Teresa. I was like, this was so funny. My son is all confused. Specifically, you know, we've talked again through social media on and off for at least 20 years. Right. We just haven't seen each other in almost 30 probably. And in that sense, it's just been within the past year that Teresa would literally send me a message out of nowhere and say, I'm feeling some serious energy from whether it's from you or for you or message or whatever. And how's it going? And immediately she can tell that I was not doing well.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, that is so deep because I knew that I was trying to work on my energy, and having a darker energy around me all the time was sucking whatever light energy I had left in my spirit. And no matter how much I prayed, I couldn't get it back because I didn't know how to start doing that. And Teresa would literally say to me, okay, do this, do this, do this. She sent me a beautiful little packet of oils and bath salts and little candles and rituals and how to set up altars and what to do with them. And then she came to my house today for the first time, and I've got about 3 or 4 altars in different places in my house.
I love them all.
Thank
and
you.
It's just about finding what works for you. And when things are not going well, taking the time to center yourself and get your core in order.
Yes.
Who are you? What are you about? What's your relationship? If you believe, in the divine.
Right.
Well, what's your relationship with the divine?
What's your relationship with the divine?
Right. What's your relationship with you?
Yes.
You with you.
Right. And my biggest question is to people that say they don't believe necessarily in a higher power. And not everybody has to believe in God. We know that. Some people believe in source, in universe.
I mean,
there's
it's all
different
the same
ways.
thing. So
exactly.
We
just label it differently.
Right. God,
yes.
the divine, Yahweh,
and
source.
There you go. And I always say, if you don't believe in this higher power, say, and you're more maybe scientific minded, right? Because obviously I believe in science too. I'm not saying that I don't, but my thing is that sometimes you're more scientific minded and less spiritual or religion minded. What keeps you grounded, right? So I asked people, I said, if you believe in only, like you said, in yourself, right? What keeps you grounded then? What keeps your head out of the clouds? What keeps you focused on who you want to be on as a person, right? We're only here for a short time. Right. So it's like, what do you want to see for yourself? Some people don't even think that much. They don't think that far. They're just day to day living their life, right? And something I've been learning and my intuition, I've mentioned it here on the podcast. I've definitely put it out on my IG because God knows I haven't been cryptic, and we've discussed it. My intuition has severely heightened. I've learned to start listening to it in the past year. And every time I asked for something, immediately they gave it to me. I'm just waiting for the 6 damn numbers. I'm telling you right now. If you can find those somewhere in there, please, I'll share it. Just share them with me. That's what I'm waiting for. That I need is those 6 numbers. So they haven't given me that yet. But everything I've asked for in terms of information that I needed, or to show me the way, or show me something, they have done that. My spirit guides have done that. And so I think what Teresa is saying is so important, that regardless of what you may or may not believe in, one, having faith in source, in the universe, in your God, in yourself is ridiculously important because this world is too dark. We've talked about that.
Dark.
This world is too dark.
There's light, but it's very heavy with dark and dark that you can't imagine because you're not supposed to. But it exists.
Yes.
And that's what I believe, and where, from my experience, especially from the Christian and the Catholic upbringing, there's an absolute war out there.
Yes.
There's a war between...
Yes.
The war between dark and light. And as the more trauma you rid, and in spirituality, really, with spirituality, as you dive deep within, you rid trauma. And as you rid trauma, you empty your pitcher, which allows love and the gifts that God and Source has given you to pour in.
And then you're able to give out, and you attract what you give out based on that.
And you're able to deal with these gifts and your purpose, and how hard that is to deal with from the strengths that you get from ridding these traumas. Through tests or testimonies, so you need it all. You how would you get the strength? It just doesn't, having gifts is being blessed by God is no walk in the park.
It's not.
I consider myself a soldier of God. I do. It's not a joke over here.
No.
My God, how heavy's the crown? This is heavy, God.
Yes.
This is heavy.
I said yesterday, listen, my halo is a little crooked.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you, my halo is crooked. And as much as I try to straighten it, it seems to stay crooked. But I still believe it's there because I am blessed and highly favored regardless, of all the stuff, and
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Let me ask you really quick then also, because this is one thing that I've always been touched into. My mother has, my sister, is fantasmas. And does that... Now, those are technically spirits in that sense. So does that tie into what you do? Is it something like a cleansing, not just of energy, a cleansing of evil spirits? Is it looking to see if someone has that quote unquote demon on their shoulder that we were talking about earlier, that is something to get rid of? Or is it just all based in it? Because we know everything is energy, right? So is it all just based in energy?
Yeah, for me and my experience, I feel like there's negative energy, and then there is demons, and darkness with names and labels, and a few of them, so there's both. The same way that there's positive energy.
So they're
just
not mutually
blowing in the wind,
exclusive.
that's beautiful. You know what I mean? From a lady down the block that got a kiss from her love,
Oh, I'm jealous.
It's positivity like that, And there is positivity from a strong guy that's with her, that walks by her, that you get a breeze of her. It comes. It's in levels. There's
so
levels
again,
to it.
There's different levels to it.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because I've always been one, and when I was younger I hated it. Now I feel more strength in it, where I could see things that other people can't see. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily I see dead people shit, right? Because
I don't see dead people. I faint dead people. That's when I know that dead is around me. I faint, or I feel a faint.
You feel a faint.
Yeah, or a faint.
I'm like, because I always say, if some crap popped up at me in my bedroom or something, it is not going to go over well.
My partner does. My partner can see. Oh, Lord. And my daughter too.
Really?
Yeah, my daughter
can see. That's a heavy burden.
It is a heavy.
That's a really heavy burden. And that's always been a fear of mine, because I've been I'll say it's a blessing and a curse to be able to feel presences, to see presences, for them to be bold enough to be able to come to me and I can see, and I can see when they're around. I can feel when there's a presence around. It happens here in the apartment. This is the first time in all these years, and I was doing dishes and I felt it, and I was like, what was that?
As time passes, you'll see more.
Yeah. And what I did was...
And feel more.
And what I did was, I was like, all right. I was like, that's enough. I was like, I don't know who you belong to. It's not me. You need to go. And gone. And I think that's one of the things that as I've gotten older, I've been more comfortable with. Being able to tell if it's an energy for me, or you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know what I mean? That you don't belong here. You looking for someone down the hallway. You just walk through my kitchen, And that started when we were kids, because like I told you, we grew up in Rockaway, and our house had many spirits living in it.
My house is my apartment's like that too. I live in like a pre-war building, and
oh my goodness,
it's full of people not here in this time they're walking around. They're walking around and passing my walls.
Yep.
And they're like in shadow form, or like 1900s dressed like that.
Yes.
My house is full of them, but it's not negative.
It's not
negative.
And
I don't address them.
Yeah.
So I just
it's
have
like, all right, you
scared me a little.
Train.
People have come. I've lived in that same place for 17 years. Since I was pregnant with my son, I've been there, you know? And people have stayed over and they've said, listen, I feel safe here, but we're not alone here. And I'm like, if they don't bother you,
Yes.
you know, did you see? You maybe did. Maybe you saw a shadow. Don't talk to it. Keep it moving. We're all
Yep.
here. Are we even real?
Are we even real? Oh, don't open that
Are we
door.
like? Are you? We could be
Listen,
in somebody else's room.
we're
thinking
in those
we're somewhere.
multiverses.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
those
Don't make
multiverses
yourself
are real.
crazy about it.
Yep.
Let it go. Just
Yep.
let it go.
My grandmother used to tell me, I saw a little girl one time in our house and she poked her head around the wall to me, laughed, and came back around and started running away.
That would scare me.
It's scared.
They don't normally address me.
No,
shit.
I've had this, let me tell you, I'm not going to go into it because we don't have time for
Right.
it. Maybe another episode,
Yes.
but but this little girl, my grandmother literally said to me, she says, you see her again, just tell her hi.
Shit.
She was like, just say hi to her. I never saw her again. I saw tons of other things, millions of other things. It was a real creepy ass house. Like, it was no joke. And that just, it made me curious.
Yeah.
As to, one, why are they still here roaming around? And two, why are some of us more sensitive? So this is a good question for you. Do you even know? Why are some of us more sensitive to these? Because my father never saw shit. My father could be asleep and I could see a freaking woman sitting at the foot of the sofa in front of him. I could see it. And he don't feel nothing. It wouldn't even faze him. My dog would see shit. Babies in the house would see shit. My friends from down the block would be in the house and could see shit, and my dad would never see nothing. So what is a possibility, if not a full on answer for it, why some people are more sensitive than others?
Well, kids are naturally sensitive. They're sensitive because they haven't been calloused by trauma to prevent them to fill their pitcher and push out gifts and things that you can see and feel from spirit and the other side. So that's why the youth, and dogs too, you know, the animals too.
Animals too.
So animals and the youth, they haven't been traumatized. Callous hasn't been put on them, which makes them more, they're in their abilities and their truth and their authenticity more than us that have been calloused and then have to go through a journey of ridding it to be able to be childlike and see and feel and be more connected.
It's that innocence.
Right. But I personally have always seen, and on a small percentage, I would say, like, let's say 30% of what I am now, the ability to see things and say things before they happened. I've always been that way. And it just, during my journey, instead of shunning that, accepting that, you know,
Yes.
like, oh.
And some people, like I said, like my mom is like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want it. She's like, I keep it away because it scares her. And for you, you were like, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it on.
I mean, when I was younger, I was quiet about it because I knew other people didn't understand. You know what I mean? They didn't
and
really
different
understand
scares.
what
different
I meant.
Scares.
You know, or I even thought I was nuts. You know,
Yeah.
I thought I was nuts. Like,
of course, I could imagine that.
Think, you know, like, but it was something that we laughed about if I said something and something happened. It wasn't until later in my 20s that my girlfriends would be like, "This is weird. You're creeping me out." And then, you know, a stronger pattern through my relationships, like, girl, that's nuts. Like, you said this and this
normal.
happened, right?
Yes.
Do you even notice that, you know? So for me, I've had it since I was a kid. And it just, through ridding traumas, I've been able to grow more in my awareness and my silence. I'm more quiet. I don't have so much to say because I don't need to validate. I know who I am and what I'm about, and I don't need to prove that to anybody. So I'm quiet and I'm observant, and it gives me that humbleness gives me the opportunity to listen to you and feel your energy from the floor, because I'm not trying to push something that I need to be said and heard down your throat. Because that's not my purpose. My purpose is to be quiet more.
So I'm going to ask you, we talked about this earlier. I'm not going to completely put you on the spot. So Teresa is getting ready for a big, I'll say a certification from her elders. So I can't ask her to do any brujeria right now. But because we haven't seen each other for so long, I was curious. From across the bridge, you were able to feel energy that you felt was toward me. Knowing what I've been going through, when you finally were in the room together, what was that energy like?
When I was in the room with you?
Yes.
I felt childlike. I felt like I didn't feel anything negative. It depends on what you choose to tap into. So I chose, when I was meeting you and going to embrace you, what our relationship used to be.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I wasn't looking for anything. You're gonna catch it quick. I don't have my head wrapped. So I came protected from those things. Next time I see you, I'm gonna have my head wrapped and I'm blessing this whole house and you.
Yo, she gonna cleanse the shit out of this joint.
I'm gonna throw you in the tub naked, girl.
And I'm gonna let her.
I'll throw you in the tub naked, girl.
Throw some flowers in that shit. I'm gonna lay there like, yo, put some oil on me.
It's all. I'm taking you right outside with the hose. But
I'm gonna have a line out the door. Yo, she $20 to $50 a piece.
$20, $25. Everybody line up in bathing suits. I got the whole block. But with my head wrapped, you know, and things like that. So you must, with these gifts, you must protect yourself.
And use them responsibly.
But protect yourself, because the more you elevate and dive into your purpose, right? The more you dive into your purpose, the more you elevate. The more you elevate, it's not just light up there.
Yeah.
It is the same amount of dark up there. And you have to put things you've never seen or experienced. And you have to protect yourself from that. Because they come for you, girl.
And you think that's... And you think that you may know the amount of darkness, but when
it's beyond your
comprehension,
as it should be, because that's not
normal
where you're from. Yeah, what you do,
so you can't even imagine dark, the demons.
It lies. It's sinister. It's sneaky. It's you. It comes in the form of your ego.
Yes, your ego.
You are, I believe, right? Me, my perception, my experience. We are God and the devil. We are dark and light.
Yes,
that's who we are. I
agree with that completely.
It's not one thing. I'm not just manifesting light all the time, because I've gone through dark, because I have dark. I'm aware of dark. I can be cautious of dark, protective of dark. I can protect myself from dark. I can whoop dark's ass because I know dark, And
some people live in that dark and don't even know it.
Right.
And you can feel that energy.
Right. It's your levels, right? Yeah. Just like religion, just like brujeria, just like being a person. It depends on what your percentage is for the day, or what you're trying to do, or who you're trying to be.
This is so... I can talk about this forever.
Right.
There's so many layers to this.
Layers and levels.
And I would love if one day you came back and we talked some more about it, specifically on this subject, because there's so much more we can talk about. And I do have, because we're coming toward the end of this conversation, but one of the main reasons I want to have you on as well is because you have your botanica.
Oh, yes.
And that's your woman-owned business. It is your sole little business.
It is my baby.
Can you explain what a botanica is and I know we talked about what your specialty is, but what exactly do you do there?
A botanica is a space where you can pick up spiritual tools and supplies.
It's store.
Also a place, right.
Yes.
For your rituals and your ceremonies and whatever it is that you believe. Because it is botanica in Spanish, Spanish meaning, it is mostly tools and supplies for Spanish-speaking faiths, South American faiths, Caribbean island faiths.
Yes.
Slave trade affected faiths.
Very interesting.
Most of it has that, in comparison to a mystical shop that might have stones and tarot cards. However, there's levels to it. So you might be in a mystical shop and find botanica things. You might be in a botanica and find mystical shop
depending upon who's running it, right?
The owner and who's running it.
Yes.
It all depends on that. Now, when this started, actually, this was my partner's idea. Oh my gosh, this is my partner Nick's idea. When I started dating him, he had just started tapping into spirituality. And I was healing from a very dark space. I was in therapy and things like that, and I was dating him, so he would take me to these spiritual shops. Mystical shops is where we started at, mystical shops. And he was studying the chakras. He had got his Reiki, his first certification. He was in a very healing space. He heals with his hands. And he said,
you should have brought him here, because I could have used, between you and him,
his Reiki is no joke.
I'm like, he takes
things off of me that I put on myself from my stupid shit all the time.
Well, next time he drops you off, make sure he stays.
all the time. I make him want to throw up all the time from the stuff he takes off.
He takes off of you.
Yes. So it was his idea. I was coming out of the bedroom, and he was like, I have an idea. I think we can use this space, this foyer living room space, for a botanica. And I thought he was fucking crazy. But I really did. I made a face and everything, because I'm such a bitch. but
You wouldn't be the only one, girl.
I was coming from a traumatized space. Yeah. I was still very guarded and not in the same space I'm in now, very high and feminine. So I want to help everybody I know. That is not where I was years ago.
Because, we stay in our masculine because we protect ourselves.
Yeah, I was like, what strangers are going to be in this house? Who's touching what?
Yes.
But my man, as amazing as he is, set the seed. He planted the seed and just let it grow. So he went on this journey. He loved stones. He went and purchased stones. He started working on the website and creating what his vision was. As I started diving into crafts and spiritual and my own version of spirituality, which ended up being like root work.
Then you go back to the root work. Yes.
And then when I started, he would do Reiki from that space, and we were doing it. Literally, had like a botanica from our apartment.
Wow.
And then when I started working at a flower shop, that's when my dedication just took it took off. Because
what's the name of the flower shop?
Ballesa. I was in the Bronx. Ballesa's flower shop. I love that place. That place gave me a lot of opportunity because I had been going through a lot and I kind of went inward. I was not well. I was not mentally well. I decided to see a therapist for once. It started as twice a month and then it went once a week. I was very heavy in my healing.
And please, real quick, tell our listeners as well, because something I've been very, very adamant about is therapy. No matter what you believe, what religion, what spirituality, brujeria, therapy is fucking integral in our healing journeys.
I think having a therapist and a spiritual elder, those two things are very important.
Yes.
It's helping heal you in this plane, and then it's helping heal you on the other side. Having both is important. So as he was diving into the botanica, I was working on my craft work and heavy in therapy. So I started to tolerate people more, want to be in their space more, come out of my very protective, very tight.
That shell we put on us.
Right. Very tight shell.
Yes.
And working at the flower shop, his detail in the way he showed things, my boss Hansel, made me ask myself questions in terms of my craft. Because he would ask me, what are you doing? You could sell it here. So then it sell it here. It made me think, who am I? What do I want to show and share people? And how do I want to present it? And then I started putting labels. I really started synchronizing my ideas, organizing myself, and just that really took off in terms of the botanica. I set up in our apartment because we eventually moved in together. I set up like a botanica in our foyer. It's literally a botanica in our house. Anything that anybody needs at any time, I just have the stuff. And it really helps also in his men's group because he can just open up and have the things he needs to help heal, and it just really took off from there. But at the same time too, it's hard because I do this, but I'm not a marketer, an IG media person, a photographer.
Like I said, who you telling, girl?
I don't know how to do those things. I just know how to do magic.
That's it.
So I'm learning these things.
And it's a push and pull these days with all this stuff.
Right.
Yes, it's very hard.
So I have things for my house, and I have customers and clients that, I go back and forth with. I sell products from the flower shop. I'm also working on something with my girlfriend to have some sort of botanica speakeasy.
And I think that's amazing.
Just
that's the coolest thing.
A special space that's going to be created for not walk-ins, specific appointment, very personal.
To do real personal work.
Right. Know what is this and what's that, which there is a time for that. But the kind of work that I am meant to do,
it's
that
the intentional.
she is meant to do, that we're meant to do, is no holds bar, making shit happen.
Yeah.
Personal, you know what I mean?
Like I was saying, and intentional.
Yes.
Intentional.
Intention is really, really important.
So can you tell everybody what is the name of your botanica and where can they find you if they want to hit you up for advice, for supplies, for rituals, for anything that they may say that our audience and we have audience around the world, y'all. I'm just saying. So don't feel bad. Hit her up, hit me up. I can always get your information as well. And every day, Teresa, puts up different rituals, Wednesday ritual.
I try to do like weekday. I try to keep everybody can partake in magic. They are magic. Stepping off of having gratefulness to being alive before you put your feet on the ground is
Amen.
magic.
Yes.
That's ritual.
Yes.
Giving thanks to the divine, to your guides, to your ancestors, whatever works for you, Yahweh, God, Jesus, whatever it is. Having specific ritual can really change your life because it'll change your mindset. It'll change your spirit,
yes,
which changes your reality.
That's
so
right.
I think it's just really important for me to share that with others, how simple it is.
And you want to use that the same way I like to use this, as to get that message across.
Right.
That open-mindedness is the best way to communicate your message.
Yes. So I was on the Tappan Sea Bridge with my partner as we were trying to figure out a name for our business. You know what I mean? And what came out first? Sage and salt. And then he switched it, and it's salt and sage.
Salt and sage.
Salt and sage is our baby. I am the salt, and he is the sage. He is the sage. He has his spirituality is more indigenous Indian based.
Okay.
He is my sage. He is my protector.
Your protector, your cleanse.
And I am the salt from being a bruja and my protective, and how strong my ritual is. I have a very strong Catholic ritual.
Yes.
And that's me. So you can find me on Salt and Sage on IG.
On IG.
Yes. I do everything right now. I'm doing everything through IG. I don't know if I have the energy to expand Facebook. They're telling me I need to, but
I haven't expanded this to Facebook.
It's hard. I like personal. I like taking the time and having conversations with people. It helps me tap in.
If anybody wants to do a free job and hone their skills as content creators, you have a few people here that could use your skills. We can't pay you anything.
Right.
Now at least, but we could always use the help as well.
I'll give you a consult that'll change your life.
There you go. There you go.
I can give you there's resources everywhere. My partner too is a healer. He does Reiki. Like I am blessed to be around a team of people that are on the same path of healing themselves and healing others together in different ways, through different faiths, different religions, different forms of spirituality, but the same kind of fundamental of having connection and using that connection in a positive way to help others.
That's amazing.
So there's resources everywhere,
So make sure to everybody you look up Salt and Sage on IG.
Yes.
And you will see Teresa Cruz, Tere, however you want to call her. You can DM her for information. You can again get to me. You can always catch me at Prosecco Queens Podcast at gmail.com or DM me on IG at Prosecco Queens Podcast. Teresa, my prima, my cousin for life. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me. This was incredible. For an introvert, this was good.
It was good.
This is good. Stepping out of your comfort zone is very important. You can't expect others to do that.
Right. And you never know who you're going to help.
Yes.
That's my biggest goal.
Yes.
You never know who's
going to
help
you, or how,
Exactly.
It's just amazing.
To everybody, you know the deal. If you would like to be part of a future episode of our show or have something you'd like to hear talked about, please feel free to email me again, ProseccoQueensPodcast at gmail.com or on IG at Prosecco Queens Podcast. I would like to thank everybody for listening. We are your Prosecco Queens, and we will talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Bye. That was amazing.
I think so. You did great.